right, hi everyone, and welcome back to another Monday of Cooking with Kristen Holiday Edition. So I'm Kristen, your campus dietitian, and this week we are going to be making leftover Thanksgiving casserole. So as you can see here, I have some of the leftovers from my family's Thanksgiving that we had last week, and this recipe is super simple. So really all we're doing is throwing together our leftovers into a nice casserole dish and cooking it up and having all those flavors really come together. So if you've never made a casserole before, they're the easiest. It's really just throwing together a bunch of ingredients. So at our Thanksgiving this year, we ended up having turkey. So we had our turkey, we had green beans, our huge staple, we had our stuffing, and we also had some mashed potatoes, some rolls, but we kept it pretty low key this year. So the first thing we put in our casserole is the stuffing. So this year my mom made two different stuffings. So we had kind of the classic traditional stuffing that just had, what was in it? Just like some celery and onions and just the bread and the gravy. Whereas this stuffing is my favorite, and she makes it for me and her and our less picky eaters. And this one has craisins and dates and pecans and walnuts and a bunch of delicious stuff. So thank you for joining. Allie, I see, I think's new on campus, I see, so thank you for joining. So we are making our leftover Thanksgiving casserole. So first step is grabbing your stuffing. So if you didn't for any reason make stuffing, or you already ate all your stuffing, going online and finding an easy stuffing recipe. In the past, I have used a cornbread stuffing that is phenomenal from Ambitious Kitchen. So that turned out really great when I made this the last time. But like I said, I'm using my mom's stuffing here, so we are going to pour that right in the bottom. And depending on how big or how much leftovers you have, you can make your casserole as big as you want. We don't have a ton of leftovers, so I'm making this a little bit smaller, but it still will be pretty hearty. So the bottom layer, and you'll hear hopefully in the background I have some Christmas music playing. Now that Thanksgiving is over, we can jump right into the Christmas season. Okay. So like I said, base layer is just gonna be our stuffing. I'm gonna use the rest of that. So just pushing that into the bottom, making sure it's all evenly distributed. Also making sure preheating your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit is gonna be where we're gonna cook this on. And none of this is warm, so all of this is just leftover coming right out from my refrigerator, all cold. So no need to have anything heated up in advance. Okay, so we have our stuffing pressed into the bottom. You'll see I have it pretty firm stuffed in there, so it has a really nice crust base for it. Next, we're gonna add in our turkey. So as you can see here, I've got a lot of turkey still. We had, I think, a 20-pound bird for 6 people, which was just a ton of meat. So we still have a ton of leftovers, and this is from continuing to eat it from this whole weekend. So we're just gonna shred up a bunch of this. I have this ginormous part of the breast. So just grabbing your turkey, making sure you wash your hands obviously before, and then just taking it and shredding it up. And we're just gonna have a nice layer of shredded turkey here. Okay. And hopefully you can hear, like I said, I have some Christmas music playing. I have the Michael Bublé holiday album, which is my absolute favorite. If any of you want to share what your favorites are, feel free in the comments. I am in full-blown Christmas season over here. Still living with my parents at the moment, as some apartment kind of mishaps go on back at mine and my fiance's apartment. But it's been nice because the house is decorated, and I got to help decorate the tree and put up kind of my ornaments that are my family ornaments. So it's been really nice being back here. All right, so I'm gonna probably I'm probably just gonna do this whole breast, which is gonna be around 2 to 3 cups of shredded turkey. Again, if you're making this at another time, let's say you already had all your leftovers, you can also get a rotisserie chicken and just shred that up, and that will be essentially the same thing. So I think turkey and chicken taste pretty similar. So if that's an easier option and you want to make this, let's say in a couple weeks, and you don't have turkey, just get a rotisserie chicken and shred that right up. Okay. I can see somebody wrote a comment, but if you've watched before, I wear contacts and they are not the best, so I cannot see that far away. But I will check out the comments when this is done and respond to any questions. So if you have any questions while I throw this together, feel free to just throw them in the comments and I will answer them at the end. Okay. And keep in mind, next week I'm going to be doing Christmas cookies. So starting out, these next couple weeks will be really more towards Christmas recipes and Hanukkah recipes, Kwanzaa recipes that I'm going to be sharing, and just some of my family kind of favorite recipes. Okay, so that looks like to be enough turkey here. So you'll see that's pretty packed in there, lots of turkey. Our next layer is going to be green beans. So we keep it really simple in my house. All we do for vegetables is just steamed green beans. We like them plain and classic and nothing else added to them. So I'm gonna add in our steamed green beans here. When I've made this in the past as well, when it's not kind of Thanksgiving, I don't have leftovers, then I do use canned French green beans. Those are also a huge classic. So I'll do like 2 cans of canned French green beans as well. All right, so that was around probably like 1 to 2 cups of green beans all in there. So you can see this is getting pretty full. And then next thing I like to add are some walnuts and either raisins or craisins, whatever you have at home. Since our stuffing, we put a lot of raisins and dates in there, I'm gonna stick with that and use raisins. But in the past, I have used dried cranberries. Doing my best whenever you are purchasing dried fruit, really try to read the ingredient label and make sure the only thing in it is the dried fruit. So all that's in here are organic raisins, and that's it. So there's no added sugar in here. We don't need to add a ton of the excess sugar into these types of recipes. Okay, so we're just gonna grab a couple handfuls, spread them through, try not to make too much of a mess. And then we're gonna grab a couple handfuls of walnuts. You can use walnuts, you could use pecans. You don't have to add nuts in at all. I just like having the additional extra crunch in there. So I just grab some and then crush them with my hands. And spread those all on top. You could also add a layer of mashed potatoes in here if you want to. We don't have any of those left over, so I'm not putting that in. But you definitely could add like a thinner layer of stuffing and then a thinner layer of mashed potatoes or mashed sweet potatoes, or if you do mashed butternut squash, that would also be really great to throw in here. Again, it's super customizable, so if you have if you roasted, let's say, Brussels sprouts, you could do a layer of Brussels sprouts instead. Whatever you have, throw it all together, make a couple cool layers, and then it's easy and done. Okay, so our last thing is going to be the liquid. So with any casserole, you want to make sure you have a good kind of liquid to help everything form together and make it smooth and kind of have that bubbly characteristic that you see with a cooked casserole. So we are using gravy. So just leftover gravy that we had. This is going to be really simple. You're just going to pour that right over. This is around 2 cups of gravy. So we are just making sure that's all in there. And the turkey and the stuffing will kind of reabsorb all of this. You don't need to mix it around or anything. It will seep right through. And if you don't have leftover gravy, I will share a link to a really easy recipe that I use all the time that just uses, I can tell you, there's 2 cups of vegetable or turkey broth, whatever you have, 3/4 of a teaspoon of onion powder, 3 tablespoons of nutritional yeast, a 1/2 teaspoon of Dijon mustard, 1 tablespoon of soy sauce, and then a 1/4 cup of flour, so whole wheat flour. You just mix that together, whisk it together on the stove, and it will form together in like less than 5 minutes. So it is the easiest stuffing. And that's it. So the easiest, I think, shortest recipe I'm gonna share on here, but that's super simple. This is gonna be dinner tonight for my family. So I I'm not gonna cook it right away. I'm gonna actually just cover it, put it in the fridge, and then cook it later on for a half an hour at 350 degrees. That's all it's gonna take just to warm everything back up. Since everything is cooked, we don't need to go crazy long with the cooking time. But that's it, super, super simple. So if anybody has any questions, I'm just gonna pop over here. I don't think any questions. So thank you all for joining me today. Like I said, this was a quick one. Next week I will be going live with cookies, and then as we continue, I will get some more holiday recipes in here. So I hope everybody has a great rest of your Monday, and I will see you next week. Bye.